Far out in the quiet edges of the galaxy, the Lirani people were losing their home. Their world, a gentle place of soft blue seas and tall crystal forests, had turned into a battlefield. The Varkon Dominion had come with their cold metal ships and endless armies. The Varkon did not want peace. They wanted everything. They burned cities from the sky. They hunted anyone who tried to run. The Lirani had fought bravely for many months, but now their fleets were broken pieces floating in space. Their last defenses were crumbling. In the deep underground council chamber on Lirani Prime, the leaders gathered one more time. The air smelled of smoke and fear. Lights flickered because power was failing. Elder Mara, the oldest member of the council, stood at the center table. Her thin arms shook as she spoke. "We have no more ships," she said in a quiet voice. "Our soldiers are tired. Our children hide in caves. If we do nothing now, there will be no Lirani left tomorrow." Young Counselor Elias looked up from the glowing screen in front of him. "We sent messages to the core worlds weeks ago, the Trade Alliance, the Peace Concord, even the old Sentinels. No one answered. They are all afraid of the Varkon." "Then we must try again," Mara said. "Send the call wider. Send it to every open channel. Let it travel to places we have never reached. Someone, somewhere might listen." The technicians worked fast. They linked every remaining antenna on the planet. They used every bit of power left in the grid. The message was short and simple. It carried no fancy words, only truth. "To any who hear this," the voice recording began. It was Mara's calm but tired voice. "We are the Lirani. Our world is under attack. The Varkon Dominion wants to end us. We ask for help. We ask for mercy. We ask for friends. Here are our coordinates. Please come if you can. Time is running out." The signal shot out into the black emptiness of space. It traveled on every frequency humans would call radio waves, light pulses, and subspace echoes. It moved faster than any ship. It would keep moving for years unless someone answered. No one in the galaxy expected an answer soon. Most advanced species knew the Varkon were too strong. The distance was too far. The danger was too great. The Lirani signal passed through empty sectors, ignored by trading posts, relay stations, and listening drones. It floated like a whisper in a storm. But space is full of surprises. On the very edge of known maps, in a dark asteroid field humans called Sector 7 Alpha, there was a small metal station. It looked like a forgotten rock, with antennas sticking out. This was Relay 19, a quiet outpost built by Earth many years ago. Humans had placed it there to watch for strange signals and to keep an eye on the empty border. Inside Relay 19, two people worked the night shift. Lieutenant Mark Evans sat at the main console, drinking coffee from a metal cup. His partner, Ensign Rachel Torres, was checking system logs. They were both young, both bored, both used to long hours, with nothing happening. The console beeped once, then twice, then it lit up like a holiday tree. Mark leaned forward. "What the hell is that?" Rachel pulled up the data. Her eyes grew wide. "Distress call. Wideband SOS. Not encrypted. Coming from the Lirani system. Coordinates attached." Mark read the message aloud in a slow voice. When he finished, the room was quiet except for the hum of machines. "They're getting wiped out," he said. "Varkon Dominion. Never heard of them doing something this big." Rachel tapped the screen. The signal hit every open channel. It bounced through half a dozen old relays before it reached us. No one else picked it up. Or maybe no one else wanted to. Mark looked at the star map. The Lirani system was far, very far, but not impossible. "We have to send this up the chain. Fleet Command needs to see it." Rachel nodded. She hit the priority transmit button. The message, along with the full recording, shot toward Earth at maximum speed. It would arrive in hours, because humans had learned long ago how to make signals move fast. Back on Earth, it was early morning in the Pacific Command Center buried under a mountain. Admiral Laura Bennett was finishing her coffee when the alert came in. She read the Lirani message twice. Her face did not change much, but her eyes became sharp. She pressed a button on her desk. "Get me Captain John Harris on the Endurance, right now." Minutes later, Captain John Harris appeared on the big screen in his ship's ready room. He had short brown hair and calm green eyes. He looked like someone who had seen many hard days, and still stood straight. "Admiral," he said, with a small nod. "John, we just received an open SOS from a species called the Lirani. They are under full invasion by something called the Varkon Dominion. Their message was not aimed at us, but it reached one of our relays. No one else seems to be answering." John crossed his arms. "And they are asking for help?" "Yes. Coordinates are solid. Travel time at flank speed is about 72 hours. John looked at the star chart that appeared beside the Admiral's face. "That puts us right through some ugly space. Possible pirate zones. Possible Varkon scouts." Laura gave a small smile. "Since when did we wait for safe roads?" John let out a short laugh. "Never, ma'am." "Then listen carefully," Laura said. "This is not an order to observe. This is not a peacekeeping patrol. If that message is real, those people are dying. We go in, we help, we do whatever it takes. Understood?" "Understood," John said. His voice was steady. "Assemble your task force. Pull in the destroyers and carriers that are close. I'm waking up the rest of the fleet. We move as one." The screen went dark. John stood for a moment, thinking. Then he hit the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. We have received a distress call from an alien species under attack. They did not call us on purpose, but the call reached us. We are going to answer it. Prepare for combat jump in 6 hours. All departments to battle stations. This is not a drill." Across the ship, people moved fast. Engineers checked reactors. Gunners tested weapons. Pilots ran to their fighters. No one asked why. No one complained. Humans had lived on a world of storms, ice, fire, and war for thousands of years. They knew what it meant when someone called for help. In another part of the solar system, on the heavy cruiser Defiant, Commander Lisa Carter heard the same orders. She stood on her bridge and looked at her crew. "We're going in blind," she said. "We don't know these Lirani. We don't know the Varkon, but we know one thing. Someone out there is screaming, and we heard it." A young officer near the back raised his hand. "Sir, what if they're scared of us? What if they think we're worse than the enemy?" Lisa looked at him for a long second. "Then we show them we're not. But first, we keep them alive." She turned to the helm. "Set course for the Lirani system. Best possible speed." Engines roared to life across dozens of ships. Lights blinked on. Drives hummed. The Deathworlder fleet began to move. Far away, on their dying world, the Lirani waited. They did not know who, if anyone, would come. They only knew the sky kept falling, and time was slipping away. But the signal had not been lost. It had found the ones who never ignored a cry in the dark. Earth turned fast when trouble called. In the big command center under Cheyenne Mountain, screens glowed with red alerts. Admiral Robert Clyde stood in the middle of the room. He was tall, with gray hair cut short and eyes that missed nothing. Around him, officers moved like bees in a hive. Phones rang. Voices called out numbers and names. No one wasted time. The Lirani SOS had arrived just 90 minutes earlier. Robert read it once on his tablet. Then he read it again. He did not smile. He did not frown. He simply said one word to his chief of staff. "Full mobilization." The order went out in seconds. It traveled through secure lines to every human naval base in the solar system. From the shipyards around Mars to the hidden docks on Titan's methane lakes. Lights came on. Alarms sounded. Crews ran to their posts. Robert walked to the main holotable. A glowing map of the galaxy spun slowly above it. The Lirani system blinked in angry red. He pointed at it. 72 hours at maximum burn, he said. That is our window. The Varkon will not wait. Neither will we. Daniel Brooks stepped up beside him. Daniel was young for his rank, only 32, but he had a mind like a sharp knife. He handled fleet strategy. He zoomed the map in. Path is clear on paper, Daniel said, but we cross 3 contested sectors. Old pirate routes here, possible Varkon scout patrols here, and this jump point is narrow. If they mine it, we lose time. Robert looked at him. Then we do not lose time. We push through. Tell the carriers to load extra fighters. Tell the battleships to prime the main guns. We go in heavy. Daniel nodded and started giving orders over his headset. His voice stayed calm, but fast. Across Earth, people felt the change. In cities, families saw news flashes, fleet responding to alien distress call. On orbital stations, workers stopped what they were doing to watch screens. Everyone knew what Deathworlder fleet meant. Humans came from a place that tried to kill them every day. Ice storms, volcanoes, oceans that swallowed ships, animals with teeth longer than arms, wars that lasted centuries. Humans did not break easy. They built ships to match their world. In the Pacific, the heavy destroyer Vanguard floated above the blue curve of the planet. Commander Karen Miller stood on her bridge. She had dark hair tied back, and a scar across her left cheek from an old boarding action. Her crew called her Iron Karen behind her back. She liked the name. The intercom crackled. Captain, priority message from Fleet Command. Karen read the orders. Her lips curved into a small, hard smile. Helm, she said, plot course for Lirani coordinates. Engineering, bring reactors to 110%. Weapons, full loadout. We are not going for a friendly visit. The bridge crew moved without questions. Red lights flashed. The ship's engines growled like waking beasts. Karen opened a channel to her people. Her voice went ship-wide. Listen up. An alien world sent a call for help. They did not know us. They did not ask for us. But the signal found us. Right now, people are dying. Cities burn. Children hide. We have been called monsters in the galaxy. They say we come from a death world. They say we are too strong, too stubborn, too crazy to trust. Maybe they are right. But here is what I know. Monsters answer when someone screams. We do not leave people behind. We do not wait for permission. We go, we fight, we win, or we die trying. Today we prove why the stars fear us. Get to your stations. Make ready. Vanguard leads the way. A cheer rose from every deck. Not loud, not wild, just solid, like rocks hitting together. Other ships heard the same call. The cruiser Defiant, under Commander Lisa Carter, powered her drives. Lisa was short, quick, and never raised her voice unless she had to. She stood on her bridge now, hands behind her back. Navigation, she said. Give me the fastest route. No detours. Aye, Commander. 71 hours if we redline the engines. Then redline them. On the carrier Independence, Captain Stephen Ruiz watched his flight deck fill with fighters. Pilots in black flight suits ran checks. Engines screamed as test burns lit the hangar. Stephen spoke to his wing commanders over the private channel. These Lirani do not know what they called, he said. They asked for help, they got us. We fly cover for the big ships. We clear the sky. We make sure no one touches our people on the ground. Clear? Clear, sir, the voices answered back. In the asteroid bases around Jupiter, smaller Wolfpack ships, fast corvettes and stealth raiders, lit their drives. Captain Emily Hayes led one group. She was known for slipping through enemy lines like smoke. Her orders were simple. Scout ahead, hit hard, vanish. Move quiet until we hit the system, she told her captains. Then hit like thunder. Back under the mountain, Robert Klein watched the fleet icons light up green, one by one. Hundreds of ships, thousands of crew, all moving toward one point in space. He turned to Daniel. What do the analysts say about the Varkon? Daniel pulled up a file. Big empire, machine heavy. They like overwhelming force, strong shields, long-range beams, but slow to adapt. They do not expect surprises. Robert gave a short nod. Good, we are the surprise. He looked at the clock. 40 minutes since the order went out. Already the first ships were jumping. Tiny flashes on the map showed drives opening wormholes. Robert spoke to the room. Everyone, this is not about territory. This is not about glory. This is about one rule we have always kept. When someone calls for help, and we can reach them, we go. No excuses, no delays. The Lirani do not know our name yet. Soon they will. And the Varkon will learn it too. The room answered with quiet focus. No speeches, no flags, just work. On Earth's surface, in a small house near San Diego, a retired Marine named Paul Garcia watched the news. His son was on the vanguard. Paul touched the screen where Karen Miller's face appeared for a moment. He whispered, "Bring them home, kid." In Tokyo, a young engineer paused her work to pray quietly. Her sister flew fighters on Independence. In Lagos, a mother held her baby and stared at the sky. She knew the fleet carried hope for strangers far away. The Deathworlder fleet formed up. Carriers in the center like iron hearts. Battleships and destroyers in tight screens. Scouts ranging far ahead. Engines burned bright against the black. Drives sang their deep song. They jumped. Space folded around them. Stars stretched into lines. Time compressed. 72 hours became a single hard push. On Lirani Prime, the sky still rained fire. The council sat in their dark chamber. Elder Mara looked at the others. "No answer yet," she said softly. Elias stared at the empty screen. Maybe the signal died. Maybe no one heard. Mara closed her eyes. We wait. They did not know that far beyond their stars, a fleet of Deathworlders was already coming. Ships built on a world that never forgave weakness. Crews raised on stories of survival. Weapons made to break anything that stood in the way. The galaxy had ignored the Lirani call. Earth had not. And now, the monsters were on the march. The Lirani home system looked like a broken toy when the human fleet dropped out of jump. Space around the planet was full of fire and light. Varkon dreadnoughts hung like dark knives in orbit. Their beams cut long scars across the blue-green world below. Smaller Varkon ships chased refugee shuttles like wolves after sheep. Explosions bloomed silent in the black. Debris spun slow and deadly. On Lirani Prime, in the last working sensor bunker deep under a mountain, technician Lyra Voss stared at her screen. She was young, with pale skin and wide eyes that had seen too much. Her fingers shook as new contacts appeared. "Multiple signatures incoming," she said into the comm. Her voice cracked. "Hundreds, fast, very fast. No match in any database." The council chamber went quiet. Elder Mara leaned forward. "Alliance ships? Trade Concord?" Lyra shook her head. "No transponders we know. Designs are strange. Sharp angles, thick armor. Engines burning hotter than anything we have seen." Counselor Elias stood up. "Can we hail them?" Before anyone answered, the main screen lit up. An open channel request blinked. Lyra accepted it. A human face appeared. Captain John Harris looked straight into the camera. His uniform was dark gray. Behind him, the Bridge of Endurance was calm and bright. Lights were steady. People moved with purpose. "This is Captain John Harris of the United Earthship Endurance, he said. His voice was clear and even. We received your distress signal. We are here to help. Stand by for further instructions. The Lirani in the chamber stared. No one spoke for a long moment. Mara broke the silence. Earth? The Death World? The Poison Planet? Elias nodded slowly. Yes, the ones the old records warn about. Gravity too high, air full of toxins, storms that last weeks, creatures that hunt in packs. They survive it all. They even enjoy it. Lyra pulled up old files. Grainy images appeared. Humans running through snow without coats, climbing sheer rock walls, diving into black oceans full of teeth. One picture showed a human laughing while fire burned around him. They are insane, Elias whispered. The galaxy calls them Deathworlders for a reason. Mara looked back at the screen. John Harris was still there, waiting. He did not look angry. He did not look afraid. He looked ready. She spoke into the pickup. Captain Harris, this is Elder Mara of the Lirani Council. We thank you for coming. We did not expect anyone. The Varkon are too strong. Our people are dying. John nodded once. We understand. We have fighters launching now. Our ground teams will secure landing zones. Tell your people to hold on a little longer. We will not let the enemy finish this. The channel close. In orbit, the Varkon commander watched his own screens. Lord General Krax stood on the bridge of his flagship Iron Fang. He was tall, with metal plates fused to his skin. Red lights glowed in his eyes. His officers moved like machines around him. New contacts, one reported. Unknown origin, large formation, closing fast. Krax waved a hand. Primitives, probably scavengers hoping for scraps. Redirect the third wing. Erase them. The Varkon ships turned. A swarm of fighters launched. Long-range beams stabbed toward the human fleet. John Harris watched from Endurance's bridge. They fired first, he said quietly. Lisa Grant, his executive officer, stood beside him. She had short black hair and steady brown eyes. Rules of engagement? She asked. Defensive only until we have boots on the ground, John said. Then, full response. The human fleet did not flinch. Point defense guns spun up. Small, bright flashes filled space as missiles died before they reached the ships. Slugs moved so fast they looked like lines of light. One Varkon cruiser took a hit mid-turn. Its shield flared and failed. The next slug punched through armor like paper. The ship broke in half. Silent fire bloomed. The Varkon fighters rushed in. Human carriers opened their bays. Fighters poured out like angry hornets. They were small, fast, and mean. Pilots twisted through enemy fire with moves that looked impossible. One human pilot looped around a Varkon fighter, got on its tail, and fired a single burst. The enemy ship exploded in a bright flash. Below on the planet, Lirani refugees hid in ruined buildings. A mother held her two children close. They watched the sky through a broken window. Bright streaks fell, human drop pods. They hit the ground hard. Dust rose, hatches blew open. Marines stepped out in heavy armor. The suits were dark green and gray. They carried big rifles and moved fast despite the weight. Sergeant Daniel Rivera led the first squad. He was broad-shouldered with a calm face. His helmet visor showed green readouts. Secure the perimeter, he ordered. Protect the civilians. Medics to the wounded. Lirani people stared as the humans ran past. One child pointed. They are not scared, he said. His mother pulled him back. They come from a world that wants to kill them every day. Fear is not in them. Varkon drones dropped from the sky. Small flying killers with red eyes. They shot at the humans. Daniel's squad opened fire. Bullets tore through drone armor. One drone exploded above them. Shrapnel rained down. A Marine took a hit to the shoulder. He grunted, patched the hole with quick seal foam, and kept shooting. In orbit, the battle grew. The Varkon sent more ships. Human destroyers moved forward like shields. Commander Karen Miller on Vanguard pushed her ship into the thick of it. "Draw their fire," she said. "Give the carriers room." Vanguard shook as beams hit her shields. Lights flickered. Crew held on. Karen stood steady. "Return fire, all batteries." The destroyer's guns roared. Heavy rounds slammed into Varkon hulls. One enemy battleship listed, leaking air and fire. The Lirani Council watched it all on cracked screens. Elder Mara spoke softly. "They fight like nothing we know. They do not run. They do not hesitate." Elias shook his head. "We called for help. We got legends. The Deathworlders are real." John Harris opened a channel to the Varkon flagship. His face appeared on their bridge. "This is Captain Harris. You have 10 minutes to withdraw. Cease fire and leave this system. Or we finish this." Lord General Krax laughed. It was a cold metal sound. "You are few. We are legion. You will break." John's eyes did not change. "We have heard that before. On our world. Many times. We are still here." The channel closed. Krax turned to his officers. "Full assault. Crush them." But deep in his circuits, a small doubt grew. These Deathworlders did not act like prey. They acted like hunters who had finally found something worth the chase. On the planet, Daniel Rivera's squad reached a group of trapped Lirani. An old man looked up at him. "You came," he said. Daniel knelt. "We heard the call. Now let's get you out." Above them, the sky burned with battle. Human ships held the line. Fighters danced. Guns spoke. The Varkon pressed hard. But the Deathworlders pressed harder. The Lirani began to hope. They had called into the dark, and something very dangerous had answered. The Varkon struck without warning. Their dreadnoughts opened fire with heavy beams that cut through space like bright knives. Swarms of small fighters rushed forward in tight waves. Missiles flew in bright trails toward the human ships. The sky above Lirani Prime turned into a storm of light and death. Captain John Harris watched from the Bridge of Endurance. The alarm sounded soft but steady. Red lights flashed across every screen. "Shields at full," he said. "Point defense, engage all incoming. Fighters, launch now." The human carriers answered first. Bays opened wide. Hundreds of sleek fighters shot out like arrows from a bow. They twisted and turned through the enemy fire. Pilots spoke short words over the comms. "Bandit at 3 o'clock. Engaging." "Got him." Splash 1. The Varkon fighters were fast, but the humans flew with skill born from years of hard practice. They rolled, looped, and dove in ways that looked crazy. One human pilot, named Alex Kim, chased a Varkon fighter through a cloud of debris. He fired a short burst. The enemy ship broke apart in a silent flash. On the heavy destroyer Vanguard, Commander Karen Miller gripped the arms of her chair. The ship shook as beams hit her forward shields. Sparks flew from a console. "Damage report," she called. "Shields holding at 60%, her tactical officer answered. "Minor hull breach on deck 4, sealed." Karen's eyes stayed on the main screen. "Good. Helm, take us straight at their center line. Weapons, target the lead dreadnought. Full railgun volley." Vanguard surged forward. Her big guns spoke with deep booms. Long slugs raced out at impossible speed. They hit the Varkon flagship's shield. The shield glowed bright blue, then cracked like glass. The next volley punched through. Metal tore open. Air and fire spilled into space. The Varkon Admiral, Lord General Krax, felt his ship tremble. Red warning lights filled his bridge. "These primitives fight like machines," he said. "Redirect all fire to that destroyer. Crush it." Beams lanced toward Vanguard. Karen did not pull back. "Keep firing," she ordered. "Give them everything." Her ship answered with more railgun shots. Another Varkon cruiser exploded nearby. Pieces of it hit Vanguard's hull like rain on metal. The destroyer kept moving. Below on the planet, the ground war grew fierce. Sergeant Daniel Rivera led his Marines through ruined streets. Smoke rose thick around them. Lirani civilians ran behind the humans, heading to safe zones. A wave of Varkon drones came down fast. They were small, round, and deadly. Red eyes glowed as they fired energy bolts. Daniel's squad dropped to cover behind broken walls. "Grenades out," he said. Marines threw small round bombs. Explosions ripped through the drones. Metal pieces flew everywhere. One Marine took a hit to the leg. He fell, but kept shooting. Another Marine dragged him back while firing one-handed. Daniel stood up. "Push forward. We hold this street." They advanced. Rifles barked. Drones fell one by one. Lirani fighters joined them. They used old plasma guns and fought with quiet courage. One Lirani soldier looked at Daniel. "You do not stop," he said. Daniel smiled under his helmet. "Not today." In orbit, the battle turned into chaos. Human battleships formed a wall between the Varkon and the planet. They took hit after hit, but kept shooting. One battleship, the Titan, lost an engine. It still fired every gun it had left. Commander Lisa Carter on Defiant moved her ship like a dancer in a fight. She slipped between enemy dreadnoughts, firing torpedoes at close range. Explosions bloomed around her. "Torpedoes away," she said. "Hard turn to port." Defiant rolled away as a Varkon beam missed by meters. A dreadnought split open like a cracked egg. The Varkon started to slow. Their perfect lines broke. Ships pulled back to regroup. Krax watched his losses climb on his screen. "Impossible," he muttered. "They adapt too fast. They ignore pain. They fight when they should die." His officers looked nervous. One spoke. "Their armor holds when ours fails. Their weapons punch harder. We lose ships faster than we can replace them." Krax slammed a metal fist on the arm of his chair. "Full assault. Overwhelm them with numbers." More Varkon ships jumped in. Fresh waves of fighters and cruisers appeared. They charged straight at the human center. John Harris saw it coming. "All ships, Titan formation. Carriers pull back under battleship cover. We hold the line." The human fleet pulled together like a fist. Destroyers and cruisers formed a tight shield. Battleships fired over their heads. Railguns and lasers created walls of death. Varkon ships flew into the storm and died. One human pilot, flying cover for the carriers, took heavy damage. His fighter spun out of control. He fought the stick and brought it back. "Still flying," he reported. "Still in the fight." On the ground, Daniel's squad reached a big refugee camp. Thousands of Lirani hid in caves and broken buildings. Medics set up quick stations. Human doctors worked beside Lirani healers. Wounds were cleaned. Broken bones set. Children got water and blankets. A young Lirani girl walked up to Daniel. She held a small flower she picked from the ruins. "For you," she said. "Thank you." Daniel took it carefully. "We're not done yet. Stay safe." Above, the battle reached its peak. Vanguard pushed deep into the Varkon formation. Karen's voice stayed calm. "Target their command ship. All guns." The railguns fired again. Slugs hammered Iron Fang. Shields failed. Hull plates peeled away. Fires spread inside. Krax stood on his shaking bridge. "Evacuate non-essentials. Prepare to ram the lead human ship." But it was too late. A final volley from Vanguard hit the core. Iron Fang broke apart in a huge silent explosion. Light filled space for a moment. The Varkon fleet hesitated. Without their leader, ships started to pull away. Fighters turned and ran. Cruisers jumped out in panic. John Harris watched the retreat. "Cease fire on fleeing ships," he ordered. "Track them. Make sure they leave the system." The human fleet held position. Guns stayed hot. Fighters circled like guards. The sky grew quieter. Debris floated everywhere. Smoke thinned. On the planet, Lirani people came out of hiding. They looked up at the human ships in orbit. Some cried, some cheered. Many just stood in silence, too tired to speak. Daniel Rivera removed his helmet. He breathed the smoky air. His squad gathered around him. "We did it," one Marine said. Daniel looked at the sky. "Not yet. We stay until they're safe." In the council chamber, Elder Mara watched the screens. The Varkon were gone. Human ships held the high ground. She spoke softly. "The Deathworlders came. They fought. They won." Counselor Elias nodded. "They did not come for thanks. They came because we asked." Mara closed her eyes for a moment. "Then we must thank them, and we must remember." The battle was over, but the legend had just begun. The fighting stopped as suddenly as it began. Varkon ships jumped away in small groups, leaving trails of fire and broken metal behind them. The human fleet stayed in place above Lirani Prime. Their guns cooled slowly. Fighters circled back to carriers like tired birds coming home. The sky grew quiet for the first time in months. On the planet, people stepped out from caves and ruined buildings. Lirani families held each other and looked up. Human dropships landed in open fields. Engineers came down with toolkits and building machines. Medics set up big white tents. Food crates arrived full of simple meals that anyone could eat. Captain John Harris walked down the ramp of his shuttle. He wore his dark uniform with no helmet. His boots touched the soft grass of Lirani Prime. Elder Mara waited for him with Counselor Elias and a small group of leaders. They looked tired but stood straight. John stopped a few steps away. He gave a small nod. "Elder Mara," he said. "Captain John Harris, we are here to help with whatever you need." Mara stepped forward. Her thin hands reached out and touched his arm lightly. It was the Lirani way to show deep thanks. "You came when no one else would," she said. Her voice shook a little. "We sent our call into the dark. We thought it was lost. We thought we would die alone. But you heard it. You fought for us. You saved us." John looked at the people around them. Children peeked from behind adults. Old ones sat on blankets with blankets over their shoulders. Many had bandages from the fighting. "We do not leave people to die when we can stop it," he said simply. "That is all." Elias looked up at the sky, where human ships still watched over them. "Your fleet," he said. "It was like nothing we have seen. You took hits that would have broken our strongest ships. Your people kept fighting even when hurt. How do you do it?" John gave a small smile. "Our world is hard. It taught us to keep going. Storms, cold, heat, beasts, wars. We learned early that giving up is not an option." Mara nodded slowly. "The galaxy calls your kind Deathworlders. They say you are dangerous. They say you are monsters." John shrugged. "Maybe we are. But we are the monsters who answer when someone calls for help." The Lirani leaders invited him inside a tent they had set up as a meeting place. They sat around a low table. Human engineers brought chairs and warm drinks. For a long time they talked. Not about war, about small things, about families, about homes, about hope. Outside, Sergeant Daniel Rivera helped unload crates. Lirani children gathered around him. One boy touched the green armor on his arm. "Does it hurt when you fight?" the boy asked. Daniel knelt, so he was eye level. "Sometimes, but we have good doctors and good friends. That helps." The boy smiled. "You are big and strong, like in stories." Daniel laughed softly. "Stories are nice, but real life is better when everyone is safe." Commander Karen Miller walked among the tents. She checked on her injured crew. One young sailor had a broken arm. Karen sat beside him. "You did good out there," she said. The sailor grinned through the pain. "We all did, ma'am. They needed us. We showed up." Karen patted his good shoulder. "That's what we do." Days turned into weeks. Human ships stayed. Engineers rebuilt power stations. Doctors taught Lirani healers new ways to fix wounds. Builders raised new homes from strong metal and stone. Children played again. Laughter came back to the streets. One evening, Mara asked John to speak to the full council. They gathered in a big hall that had survived the war. Lights glowed soft. People filled every seat. John stood at the front. He spoke plain. "We will leave soon," he said. "Our job here is almost done. But we leave friends behind. If you ever need us again, send the call. We will hear it, we will come." The room stood. They clapped in the Lirani way, soft hands touching in waves. Some had tears. John bowed his head a little. Back on Earth, Admiral Robert Klein sat in his office under the mountain. Screens showed reports from Lirani Prime, pictures of smiling faces, new buildings rising, ships loading to head home. Lisa Grant stood beside him. She had come down from Defiant for the debrief. "They are calling us heroes now," she said. Robert looked at a photo of John shaking hands with Mara. "They needed heroes," he said. "We gave them what we had." Lisa smiled. "The galaxy will talk about this for years. An accidental call, a fleet that answered, a battle that broke an empire." Robert leaned back. "Let them talk. We know the truth. We heard a cry. We went. That is enough." Words spread fast across the stars. Traders carried stories from system to system. Aliens who once avoided human ships now spoke of them with respect. Old records were pulled out. People read about Earth, a world of poison air, wild storms, and creatures that hunted for fun. They read how humans survived it all, how they built ships to match their tough home, how they never backed down. Some species sent quiet messages to Earth, offers of trade, offers of alliance, offers of thanks. The Lirani became Earth's first true friends in the galaxy. They shared their gentle technology, clean energy, healing fields, soft materials. Humans shared their strong tools, fast ships, and hard lessons of survival. Years later, on Lirani Prime, a tall stone stood in the main square. Words were carved on it in both languages. To the Deathworlders who heard our call in the dark, who fought when no one else would, who gave us tomorrow, we remember, always. Children passed the stone every day. They touched it for luck. Parents told them the story. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day, the parents said, but they chose to save others instead. On Earth, the fleet returned home. Ships docked in quiet yards. Crews hugged families. Some carried scars. Some carried new friends in their hearts. John Harris stood on a balcony overlooking the Pacific. The sun set red over the water. Lisa Grant joined him. "Think they will call again?" she asked. John looked at the stars starting to appear. "If they do," he said, "we will answer." Somewhere in the deep black, a new legend grew, not of fear, not of monsters, but of a fleet that never ignored a cry for help. The galaxy learned something simple that day. Never send an SOS lightly. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing out there might pick up the call. And when the Deathworlders answer, empires fall, and hope rises.